Great. Welcome to everybody today as we run through our webinar as an introduction to our Zone apps for NetSuite. We are really excited to have everyone joining today's session, and we hope that you find as much value learning more about our Zone apps for NetSuite. Today's session will be run by myself, Simon van Heerden. I head up the sales for EMEA for Zone & Co. I'll be then joined by Patrick, who will run through a demo of our various Zone apps that we have on offer. And we look forward to running through today's session, giving you a bit of background around the applications that we offer, who we are as an organization, and then running through that in today's session. So just a very brief agenda for today, just giving you a very quick background around Zone & Co. as an organization. We'll quickly touch on our product. I'll then hand over to Patrick, who will run through a demo of the various different solutions. We'll then have time for a Q&A and then just some closing remarks. So you may be wondering who Zone & Co. is as an organization. And quite simply put is that our mission as an organization is to enhance the native NetSuite experience that you may be having by the use of our suite apps. And really hope that by using our suite apps, we can bring the joy back to the people in the accounting and finance departments that utilize NetSuite on a day-to-day basis. So as an organization, we have over 270 employees across the globe. We are currently represented in over 25 countries with over 2,000 customers using our apps across the globe. We collaborate with over 100 partners in the various different regions. And in terms of our current solution offering, we have over 14 apps that we can provide. So really, wherever you're located in the globe, we have presence, we have local support, and we'd be happy to chat through our solution offering with you and see how we can possibly assist you. So as I mentioned with the different apps that we have on offer, this is very simple overview all the way from a solution like our Zone Billing, very complex billing requirements, to applications that we'll touch on briefly today, like our Zone Approvals application, Zone Capture, automating your whole AP process. If you're looking at automating your whole reconciliation side with the bank side with our Zone Reconcile, we then are able to handle if you've got a very specific Stripe requirement with our Zone Payments application. We then also have our application called Zone Reporting, which if you're looking for a very detailed and enhanced BI reporting tool native to NetSuite, we can assist with that. We've also then got a new application to our fold, which is around Zone Payroll and everything around MyPay. So it really can help you in multiple facets of your business. It really is important to note with our full solution offering that this is all native to NetSuite, meaning that you don't need any third-party tools or anything like that. We sit inside your NetSuite solution, meaning for you as a customer, much quicker time to value. Your users will find it very easy to adapt our applications. And also users find that our applications, because it's got a very similar look and feel to NetSuite, that users really adapt the program much quicker. So with all of that being said, what I'll now do is I'll hand over to Patrick that will take us through the demo of our various solutions.
Yes, thank you very much. If you wouldn't mind, yes, thank you so much. So thanks everybody for joining. My name is Patrick Norton. I'm a solution principal with Zone, and it's my job to know all of our products. I've been in the NetSuite ecosystem for about 9 years, and prior to my current role, I was actually a solution architect for our Zone Billing product. I look forward to bringing you through Zone Approvals, Zone Reconcile, our SFTP solution, and credit card import. I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to be moving pretty quickly here. So first thing I'm going to talk about is our Zone Approvals application. So what is that? Well, it's our plug-and-play suite app built to address approval requirement challenges that many businesses have in the NetSuite ecosystem. It enables technical and non-technical folks to build and edit or adjust complex approval workflows without the need of knowledge for suite flow or scripting. Really, anyone can work with these. It's very simple to use. In the application, we have features like our approval portlet, approval by email, bulk approvals, these flexible approval matrices, approval delegation, super approver ability, approval redirection, and automated accrual postings, all of which with a detailed audit trail. Oh, first thing you'll notice in my NetSuite environment here is a zone approvals portlet. So folks can really easily access approvals, whether they're pending, overdue, or previously approved. There's also a manager view where I can see my entire team's approval information. I can also bulk approve. So rather than needing to enter each transaction, I can go through a list and very quickly check the approval button. If I'm not sure, I can drill in to see detail on this transaction, maybe rejecting one of these where I need to provide a reason. And I can handle this all very quickly in one interface, which will save a ton of time. So how do these approvals get into my bucket? Well, for that, we have what we call a matrix. And a matrix determines if a transaction needs approval, who that approval should go to. So I have a purchase order here, and it's given me an approval matrix that was applied to this particular transaction. So here I can see fields like my subsidiary. I've applied it to a PO. I have a hierarchy, which I like to think of as buckets to determine different levels my approvals might go to by dollar amount. I can add segmentation, whether it's native or custom, and then I set who the approver should go to. So that can be an individual, a role, a default vendor approver, where we're setting the default approver on the vendor record. I could use native NetSuite groups, whether static or dynamic. So either way, the flexibility that is afforded within this matrix is tremendous, and all while being automatic, and any user with permission can set these up. Now, I alluded to email approval as well. If I pop back into my PO here, I'll see some approval logs. So we'll see first approver is myself, Patrick, followed by David. And if I look over to the right, I'll see that this approval was done through email. In the interest of time, I won't go through that process, but we do maintain that information on the communication tab here. So if I drill into that, I'll see that I responded with approve. And in this case, I can set up any verbiage I want for both approvals and rejections. So my response to the email will determine the action on the side of NetSuite. So some other things I mentioned were the approval accruals. So it can be really frustrating when you don't have up-to-date GL information. Zone approvals will post accruals so you can make accurate decisions. And additionally, we have some features like redirection of approval. So if I see something in the memo that made tell me that maybe this approval should go to my manager rather than me, I can redirect it. Or I can do things like that approval delegate. So if I go on holiday, I can actually set a delegate from date to date with a memo, and any approval that would have been put into my bucket will flow into the delegate instead. Anything left over at the to date will flow back into my bucket. So with zone approvals, again, the main benefits are just the ease and simplicity of use and also the rich feature set. So with that, let's go ahead and shift over into the Zone Reconcile product. So Zone Reconcile, it lives 100% inside of NetSuite, which is a huge benefit. And we ultimately built it to save time reconciling bank transactions. So instead of manually entering and matching bank transactions, it will automatically reconcile everything in NetSuite from invoices and credits to payments and expense reports based on either an import of the bank statement or transaction feed straight from the bank, depending on your preference. This was released back in 2013 and is used by hundreds of customers worldwide. And ultimately, what we're doing is reducing time, errors, and frustration resulting from manual processes. Because of the speed and ease of use, most of our customers reconcile in minutes. So if I have a automatic connection, I'll see a reminder with statements to process. Otherwise, I can import. And when I import, I'm brought to this bank statement screen. And some of the benefits here are automating transaction entry, of course. There's also a single source of truth in combining transaction creation and reconciliation of the bank balance. We can also manage as many bank accounts as you need. We can manage credit cards and other payment providers as well. We have automatic handling of direct debit reversals. And in cases of multi-line journals, we can help out when one amount in the bank statement needs to be allocated to multiple GL accounts. And in terms of the direct feed, we offer a secure file transfer app. It's really user-friendly and it allows us to both receive information, so our application picks up these files and automatically process them into the NetSuite filing cabinet. Then our Zone Reconcile application here will take over and process those files into bank statement records. So this allows us to skip the step of the user having to go into the bank environment, manually downloading the file and then importing it into our application. So what we have here again is the bank statement record containing pertinent values at the header level. At the line level, we have our statement lines, and we'll see a checkbox next to some of these lines, and that is indicating we have a perfect match. So in this first line here for Academy Avenue Liquor Store, we can see that the invoice description contains the invoice number, and the fact that it's checked indicates that the amount paid was the amount owed on this invoice. If it was a partial amount, we would still have a match, but this would be unchecked, telling the user to go in and perform some investigation. So in situations where that's not checked, like Fabra Enterprises, I can actually click into a pop-up that will give me suggested transactions from which I can choose from. So here I have a $124 transaction, and I have one here as well. And I can select the transaction that corresponds and click submit. And in this case, the reason it didn't match is I didn't have an invoice number in the description of my statement line, where I did in the first line, which allowed those values to match. Now in this line here, we might have an account already selected. So how could this happen? Well, we have this concept of matching rules. So I'll click in here and give you a little look under the hood. And these are really easy to set up. And effectively, I'm saying that if the counterparty contains Lyft, set the travel account and department sales. Because the counterparty does indeed contain Lyft, that's why those were automatically selected. So I can just click in here and match, and we can move on. So maybe I want to prepay for a vendor. I can select the pop-up here. I can select the pop-up here, and I don't want to match it against any transaction. I'll just submit this pop-up, which will create a posting against the vendor that can later be applied to a bill. On the bank line, maybe we're receiving, let's see, maybe we're receiving 1980 here. And in this case, I don't have a match. So if I click into the pop-up, I'll see that we actually had an invoice for 2000, but are receiving 1980. I could submit this now, leaving 20 unpaid, but more than likely, this is a bank fee. I'm able to select a payment different reason, which will then post the difference, saving a ton of time. Finally, we could come up to a situation where, let's see, where an invoice is paid in a foreign currency from the bank statement. So in this case, a customer paid in euros to a invoice that was sent in dollars. So it could be that the bank used a different exchange rate than NetSuite. And by checking our line here, it's going to recalculate the exchange rate. And without Zone Reconcile, the user would have needed to manually calculate the exchange rate used by the bank, entered into NetSuite, and then check if the GL impact of the payment had any rounding differences. But in this case, we're just checking the line and clicking submit. So again, in this case, we're saving a ton of time by having automatic rules in place and our user-friendly pop-ups. So we're really managing by exception. I could save this now before I'm completely finished with all of the lines and come back to it later. And when I'm complete, we'll create all of the appropriate transactions and we can move on to the next statement. We'll also be allowing you to report on this, where we'd be able to see summary information that we can drill in and see the detailed information of each reconciliation. So last thing let's look at is the credit card import. So ultimately, this suitelet saves time processing credit card transactions in NetSuite. So instead of manually entering credit card transactions or creating complicated CSV imports, our application automatically creates credit card transactions for all of your expenses with a click of a button. So the key benefits here is we can process all credit card transactions on one page, easily select the GL account and vendor applicable. We can set up auto process rules to automatically process the lines and match the statement balance with the NetSuite balance for easy reconciliation and really eliminating manual data entry. So I've simply imported this statement here, and I could give it a name like March statement because I'm a bit behind. Now I'm going through and managing the different lines. So line 1 is $150 charge to LinkedIn, and we have a couple of options here. If this could be allocated to an expense account, we can just add it here. So maybe it's recruitment. There we go. And I could also select a vendor if I knew it. Obviously, this is LinkedIn. And now I can proceed. In line number 2 here, I can see that it's bagels and beans. So I can allocate this to meals and entertainment. In a lot of the remaining lines here, I can see that my accounts are already selected with or without some segmentation or vendors here. And like BankRec, we have matching rules in place where, for example, if we see a description containing restaurant, let's set the account to travel and accommodation meals and set the department to sales. Some users import one statement for multiple credit cards or even subsidiaries. And in this screen, we can really quickly and easily change out credit card or subsidiaries very quickly compared to some other interfaces we see. We could come back to this later, but let's actually look at this line here. This credit line represents a payment, and we could manage this in a couple different ways. One, we could post to a clearing account or directly to a bank account. And from now, I'm going to put it to accounts payable and the Australian credit card. So this will create an open AP position against that credit card provider, and the normal AP process can then be used to post the offsetting bank transaction. So when I finish this, I could save and the appropriate transactions will again be created and I can move on to the next one. But with that, I'm running out of time. So I would like to thank everyone for looking at some of our applications that can make your lives easier, and I can pass it back to Simon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Patrick, for running through that very informative session. So yeah, I think in terms of closing, we did receive a couple of questions, and I think the first one that we got, and potentially Patrick, if you could field this. The question was, I've got a large amount of volumes that I work through with my bank accounts. Can the zone reconciliation application handle large volume? Do you have any feedback on that question?
I do, and we can manage tremendous amounts of volume. And we actually have functionality that allows us to assist in this, like rematching and scheduled matching. So rematching and scheduled matching really helpful if bank data arrives in NetSuite before transactions are created. And auto processing, which is exceedingly useful for companies with large volumes. Essentially, statements are automatically um, processed, lines are automatically matched, and users just need to pop in there and manage the unmatched line. So, again, managing by exception and really speeding up the process while handling large volumes.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think it is important that our application can cater to multiple needs, whether you've got small volumes, large volumes, or anything in the middle, we can definitely handle that. And then I think a second important question, which I'm happy to talk through, is the question was, do I need to purchase the whole infrastructure with all of these applications all at once? Quite simply put, no, you don't. Our solutions are completely scalable. Our applications are completely scalable. So you can start with the zone reconciliation app. You can start with the zone capture application. You can start with our zone payments application. We offer a fully scalable solution, and we'd be happy to talk through the needs of the business, and we can build the development plan for our applications rolling out from there. So that was really all the questions that we got today. We really want to thank everyone for joining today's session. If there are any additional questions that come up from today or watching the session in future, please feel free to reach out to us. My email address is there, simonvanheerden@zoneandco.com. Alternatively, please go to our website, www.zoneandco.com. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code to book a full tailored demo if you felt like you wanted to see a bit more detail around a specific application. Please feel free to scan the QR code, book some additional time with any member of our team, and we'd be happy to walk through our application with you. So thank you very much to everyone for joining today. We hope that you found this session insightful. We hope that you found value from this, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.